Hi, this is Marcus. This video covers a talk I gave at the Superintelligence Conference at Exeter University in September 2025. For a better understanding, I encourage you to pause or replay the video as needed. To start, in this talk, I claim broadly framing intelligence and entropy allows one to model general intelligence as a prelude to superintelligence. In defining intelligence, many views exist, even just for humans. But here, I explore human intelligence in relation to general intelligence, with human intelligence as our only way to consider general intelligence, but where the two are quite different. A simple view of intelligence starts with one's capacity for abstraction, the raw ability to have an idea, any idea. We next test that idea's value. How well does it fit material reality, the thing we gather intelligence on? Lastly, we store or memorize the results so we do not have to repeat prior tests, and which allows us to build intelligence over time. Despite many likely definitions, this simple view shows what I see as the most essential and most universal aspects of intelligence. For super, general, and human intelligence and beyond, these all point to various ways and degrees to which we recombine and grow these roles, all of which we experience today as intelligence. Next, general intelligence, to me, suggests an informatic ideal, a final goal for all of science, perfect knowledge of the cosmos. We may never fully realize this ideal, but we can at least agree this is the main aim of science, to fully grasp the cosmos and its contents. But in pursuing that ideal, we see a problem. Our human lens is flawed, perhaps unequal to the challenge. For example, we know dark energy and dark matter fill 95% of the cosmos, but we know little more. Thus, in a simple way, we might say human knowledge covers only 5% of the known cosmos, and all the rest is logical gaps, where nature has no logical gaps. How we deal with our flaws is vital. By one count, mixed, subtle, and acute genomic and behavioral variants deny us true human universals for framing general intelligence, which makes modeling intelligence difficult. But in another way, that variety offers robustness. With 8.2 billion humans constantly probing the cosmos, the chance we might glean some useful insights is large, if we share and examine that experience with other humans. Informatic sociability and diversity boosts our capacity for general intelligence and makes information processing our main adaptive path. But despite notable gains, our mixed roles and logical gaps also mean we cannot mistake human intelligence for true general intelligence and perfect knowledge of the cosmos. Beyond partial general intelligence, all agents master an evolutionary arms race or expire. Competitive and cooperative facets exist for all agents and at all levels, at times called the Red Queen's race. Eternal genomic and behavioral adaptation shows as a still unfolding tree of life, with evolution by natural selection and many life-death entropic facets. In this arms race, human adaptation outruns other agents as early super-intelligent roles. This means some of us surpass what Earth and other agents natively manifest, with informatic creativity pushing us onward. For example, things like a pencil onto airplanes and spaceships are all supra-natural effects, beyond what the bare Earth itself offers, informatically envisioned and selectively advanced for better survival. But nature underlies and thus affords all creativity, inspiring our advances, with nature itself being vastly creative. In this way, we are now surrounded by many psychological fantasies made into some material form. Even tool use means someone somewhere invented that tool. In our techno-cultural vastness, our only remaining fully natural role is that of our own body, why supernatural effects infuse all else about us. But creativity itself incites excess consumption, always seeking new options beyond bare survival. This affects all agents to mixed degrees as an adaptive impulse for behavioral and reproductive growth. But in our own self-important, super-intelligent way, nature's own renewal seems to mean that the thing that gives birth to and nurtures us also seeks our ruin. We confront this entropic mix with broken informatic tools that so far reward us with better survival. But we must also see that this immediate human form is perhaps not the best nature can do, suggesting a future with sharp cultural shifts or even extinction. But for now, the effect of our entropic strife is twofold. First, modeling general intelligence requires a contiguous view of diverse, simple to complex roles, along with shifting creativity and selection, but no logical gaps. Missing any step here bars finding a true general model, but still allows us to model singular aspects, as with today's Chat GPT and the like. Second, all manner of entropy inhabits our worldviews and science, tied to survival intelligence. For example, we often see entropy as signal and noise, life and death, order and chaos, and more, all around survival. If we do not survive as a base role, later intelligent abstractions become impossible. But here, entropy is of special interest as a likely dual core for modeling intelligence. Rudolf Clausius and Ludwig Boltzmann's thermodynamic entropy and statistical mechanics, and Claude Shannon's signal entropy, at times called the mother of all models, all arising from a likely cosmic singularity. Together they frame how things generally work and fall apart in the cosmos, as a bare common-sense view of intelligence. But even this shows a logical gap. Both use the term entropy, but in opposed ways. Thermodynamic entropy reflects noise, the bane of all messages, but Shannon messages are themselves called signal entropy. One wonders what lies between these two entropic views and what connects them. Alternatively, they can be seen as cosmic bookends, with shifting functional degrees of freedom filling the space between, to suggest a contiguous view of the cosmos and intelligence tied to nature's continuity. In a similar way, Claude Shannon and Warren Weaver saw that a missing theory of meaning offered a likely way forward. Okay, before going further, I recap what I covered so far. I first claim framing intelligence and entropy precedes modeling superintelligence. I follow this with structural fundamentals for intelligence. Next, I cover problems tied to notions of general intelligence and human intelligence, along with mixed entropic roles. Lastly, from the above, I pose initial principles for modeling intelligence. The remainder of this talk now explores those principles. To continue, if we see modeling as a discipline, this mixed entropic vista has two parts. 1. Material primitives as objects holding matter's raw properties and traits. And 2. Logical primitives as object interactions or material logic of how matter behaves. These roles are plainly tied, but differ sharply, while equally supporting intelligence. I explore these roles further, but for now I label them object and subject. We can also state this reductively as two or more objects, in synthesis, typify all of material reality, and thus also typify all later knowledge and intelligence. This OSO framing achieves four things. First, as already noted, it marks a dual functional aspect innate to all agent experience, which in turn drives all abstractions, where material experience is the thing we make abstract. Second, It initiates bare dualist symbols for modeling contiguous nature and intelligence across time, akin to alphabetic and numeric symbols depicting the cosmos. 3. It maps a dualist triune fractal pattern as a likely computable role. Lastly, this OSO syntax maps a general semantic effect that points to a general theory of meaning. A dual material aspect seems clear here, but can stir debate. Thus, to better see subject-object universality, consider a hammer and a nail. Objects held in isolation have no function. Only at the moment of a hammer striking a nail does a function truly arise. Before this, hammer and nail are just observed objects, but where object synthesis creates a semantic world. Still, synthesis exists only in that strike and is otherwise invisible. Moreover, years of practice afford more effective and efficient hammer-nail synthesis or more intelligent work. For example, a nail can be driven quickly, or it may take many blows. A nail may be driven truly, or with glancing blows bending the nail. Objects exist or do not exist, but synthesis varies widely. Synthesis can be sustained or instant, fine-grained or coarse, creative or destructive, and with subtle onto sharp phase transitions, all of which must be mapped to fully model material reality and general intelligence. If we accept subject-object jointly support modeling intelligence, synthetic variation is still challenging. For example, the standard model shows a fine-tuned universe of precisely balanced constants and laws, or low synthetic variety allows an early cosmos to arise. Conversely, natural selection, as our most successful scientific model, seems chaotic, but with a firm common-sense view of survival. Life's simple to complex synthetic variety has many options that Darwin intuitively mapped in a powerful common-sense account, akin to nature's contiguous creativity. This contrasts to the standard model's firm structure and mathematics, but with weak common sense in failing to model things as basic as gravity and the role of life. We can add to this the periodic table's mild synthetic variety of 94 natural elements and countless possible molecules, but again with vague common sense. Still, if we return to modeling as a discipline, all such roles must be given a common framing in order to satisfy our prior noted contiguous SO principles. Also, object roles always have a key role in modeling intelligence, but shifts in object synthesis or synthetic variety now becomes more clearly attached to a sense of active intelligence or intelligent work. In this way, synthetic variety, common sense, and entropy all start to look rather synonymous. Okay. At this point, we are close to 15 minutes into this talk, and we now have an initial model of how a science for superintelligence might look. The graph before you summarizes the analysis so far, but much remains to be said about modeling intelligence. Still, one can use this graph to glimpse where future analysis can lead. But I will make a break here and later develop a Part 2 video with more general and superintelligence detail. Lastly, I encourage you to also watch my other talk, The Advent of Superintelligence, for a slightly different view. Okay, that is all for now, and I thank you for your attention so far.